Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys versus Seattle Seahawks Week 16 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I like to collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various variables. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data essentially looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course how the special teams is doing based on the various team statistics. And when you look at this overall data, most of it favors the Dallas Cowboys. So let's get into some reasons as to why. First off, a big reason why the Cowboys are so favored in this game is because of their offense. The Cowboys have the superior offensive score percentage. They have a better sack percentage, and the Seahawks have a better turnover percentage, meaning they don't turn the football over as much. But the Cowboys have such a higher offensive score percentage that it does factor into things a lot based on the overall data. Basically the Cowboys are just able to put points on the board, whereas the Seahawks have not been able to do that this year on every single drive consistently, which is a big reason why the Cowboys are favored. On top of that, when you get to the defensive side of the football, the Seahawks are actually a little bit more favored here. So basically the Seahawks have the better defensive offensive score percentage, better turnover ratio, better sack percentage, and better interception percentage. Not as big of a disparity though between for example, the Cowboys have an 81.89 offensive score percentage versus the Seahawks who have a 44.88. Whereas on defense, it's instead of being like almost a 40-point difference, it's really only about a 20-point difference between the defense of the Cowboys and the Seahawks. So in many ways, the Seahawks do have the better defense, but it's not as big of a disparity as the Cowboys' offense is compared, which is kind of another reason why the Cowboys are, slightly favored in many ways in terms of this particular game. And then, of course, when you get to the special teams data, so looking at punt return yardage, that favors the Cowboys. Kick return yardage favors the Cowboys. Defensive punt return yardage favors the Cowboys. Defensive kick return yardage favors the Seahawks. Field goal percentage favors the Cowboys. Extra point percentage favors the Seahawks. And punting average favors the Seahawks. As far as who has the better special teams, as I say every single week, consistently, the number one statistic that makes the most sense statistically, like the biggest correlations to winning football games in terms of special teams data, is the field goal percentage. If you have a higher field goal percentage, you are more likely to win football games. It just, from a common sense perspective, from just a logical perspective, from a data perspective, it just makes sense. If you are in a situation where you have to win the game by a field goal or tie a game by a field goal, etc., which happens a lot, by the way, if you watch football, happens a lot, you want to have a good field goal percentage. And the better your field goal percentage is, the more likely you are able to get that tying field goal. The more likely you are going to get that game-winning field goal. So that is why field goal percentage is so important. It says a lot about your ability to get those 3 points on the board, which ultimately could be a win, could be a tie, could be a lot of different things. So very important, very, very important statistic. And that more so goes to the Cowboys, which gives them the advantage. So in many ways, the Cowboys have the advantage when it comes to their offense, a big advantage on offense, special teams as well. The Seahawks do have the better defense, but the Seahawks defense has not exactly been lights out. The Seahawks defense has not been like the Jacksonville Jaguars, for example, if you watch the Jacksonville Jaguars video, as I've tracked the Jaguars, like they've just been amazing this year in terms of their ability to do everything. Whereas the Seahawks have not exactly been that. They don't got it like that. So even though the Seahawks do have the better defense, they don't have an amazing defense, and that's another kind of factor that kind of more so helps the Cowboys out, is that they're playing a defense that is not exactly amazing. But now that we got done with all the macro data, now let's get into some micro data. So now we're going to get into some down and distance data. Situational football is kind of another way to kind of explain it between the Cowboys offense and the Seahawks defense in terms of completion percentage data. And this is where the Seahawks do start to show some areas of success. The Seahawks have the advantage on first and second down when it comes to completion percentage. So I do think that this is something to kind of factor into this game. Then, of course, we get to the Seahawks offense versus Cowboys defense when it comes to completion percentage. And in this particular area, the Seahawks are favored on second and third down. So, again, I think the Seahawks will have some success in terms of those particular downs and distances as well in terms of their offense. So, both their offense and their defense of the Seahawks kind of have the advantage when it comes to completion percentage. Then, of course, when we get to rushing downs between the Cowboys offense and the Seahawks defense, this particular area, the Cowboys are favored on second and third down, respectively. And again, rushing first down conversion rate with the run has nothing to do with yardage or explosive plays. It purely has to do with the ability to convert with the run in various downs and distances. So if you're able to get first downs on 1st and 10 more often, you're going to score higher. If you get first downs more often on 2nd and 4 to 6 compared to the rest of the NFL, you score higher. It basically deals with the ability to get first downs. It doesn't necessarily have to do with explosive plays or getting 100-yard runs and stuff like that. That stuff is important, and I'm going to be doing more research into a lot of that stuff at the end of the season. But for right now, focusing more on just the ability to convert with the run in various downs and distances. That's basically what a lot of the stuff deals with, and the Cowboys do have that advantage on second and third down here. Then, of course, you look at the Seahawks offense versus Cowboys defense when it comes to rushing downs. And in this particular area, the Seahawks are favored on second and third down when it comes to rushing. Again, in many ways, just like that, I do think rushing will factor into this game. I think the Seahawks will have success rushing. I think the Cowboys will have success rushing the football as well. Then, of course, we get to passing downs between the Cowboys passing offense and Seahawks passing defense, where the Seahawks defense is favored on first and second down. Third down a little bit more even, but definitely still factors into the Seahawks being, more so advantage in terms of first and second down. Then, of course, we get to the Seahawks passing offense versus Cowboys passing defense, where the Seahawks are favored on second and third down. So, again, when it comes to completion percentage and when it comes to passing downs, it does look like the Seahawks have some advantages in certain areas, especially key down and distances, like third down situations very much do favor the Seahawks in many ways, especially when it comes to the Seahawks offense, which is a big down because if you're able to convert on third downs, you're able to keep the ball moving and, you get it. And then, of course, when you get to sack rates between the Cowboys offense and the Seahawks defense, the Seahawks are actually favored on first and second down, although first down is very, very close. Slight advantage for the Seahawks defense, but I would say very close there. So I would give a slight advantage to the Seahawks defense. I think the Seahawks might be able to get a couple sacks in this game, but definitely not a guarantee per se. And then, of course, you look at the Seahawks offense versus Cowboys defense when it comes to sacks. In this area, the Cowboys are actually favored on first and second down. So I think I would actually say the Cowboys are more likely to get a sack versus the Seahawks in many ways based on the sack rate ability. And then, of course, we get to interception ratio between the Cowboys offense and the Seahawks defense, where the Cowboys are favored on first and second down and third down even. So I don't really see the Cowboys throwing a lot of picks. And then finally, we get to the Seahawks offense versus Cowboys defense when it comes to interception ratio, where I would say it's pretty even with a big advantage for the Seahawks on third down in particular. So that would be kind of the main down that the Seahawks shouldn't really have much of an issue in terms of picks and that other kind of stuff. So overall, when you look at the data, when you look at the overall data and you come to conclusions about it, what are my overall opinion about it? I honestly think that this is going to be a Cowboys victory. I think offensively speaking, I think they're just going to be able to put more points on the board. I do think it's going to be a fairly tight game, though. I do think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be kind of a back and forth game where Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson are really going to have to put the team on their back and win it. But I think either one of these teams could end up winning this football game. I don't think it's like a clear-cut winner here, but I just have a feeling that when it comes to this particular game, that I just more so feel like the Cowboys are going to win this. They're favored by the data, but I also just have this general feeling that at home, I do think that the Cowboys will win this game based on all the available data and based on just my general thoughts and feelings about this game. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you believe is going to win this football game? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.